Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's devotions. Tonight I have three short readings for you. The first two of them are from the letter to the Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 11. The high priest carries the blood of animals into the most holy place as a sin offering, but the bodies are burned outside the camp. And so Jesus also suffered outside the city gate to make the people holy through his own blood. Then in Hebrews 10 and verse 10, and by that will we have been made holy through the sacrifice of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. Day after day, every priest stands and performs his religious duties. Again and again, he offers the same sacrifices which can never take away sins. But when this priest had offered for all time one sacrifice for sins, he sat down at the right hand of God. And since that time, he waits for his enemies to be made his footstool. For by one sacrifice, he has made perfect forever those who are being made holy. And then in 1 Peter 1 and verse 13. Therefore, with minds that are alert and fully sober, set your hope on the grace to be brought to you when Jesus Christ is revealed at his coming. As obedient children, do not conform to the evil desires you had when you lived in ignorance. But just as he who called you is holy, so be holy in all that you do. For it is written, be holy, because I am holy. Well, so far this week we have seen that the blood of Jesus secures our salvation. That's its primary thing that it accomplishes for us. And as a result of that, we can know peace with God and the grace to withstand the final judgment. We can also enter freely into the presence of God with confidence and boldness. Now we see that a further benefit of the atonement of Jesus' blood on our behalf is that we are made holy. And because we have been made holy, we can become holy. The importance of our holiness cannot be overstated. For as the writer to the Hebrews says, without holiness, no one will see the Lord. Accordingly, some would argue that the purpose of the atoning death of Jesus is to make us holy. The New Testament writers speak about holiness in two distinct ways. Firstly, they speak of it as a real state of being that has been accomplished in the past tense by the atoning sacrifice of Jesus for those who have pledged their faith, that is, their allegiance to him as the saving King. Secondly, they speak of holiness as something which we are to eagerly pursue, something in which we are to grow and develop and practice in our daily experience. These two aspects are sometimes called our positional holiness and our practical holiness. And the exact relationship between the two is quite complex and can't really be fully explored in a 10-minute devotional. However, for the purpose of these studies looking at what the blood of Jesus accomplishes on our behalf, we can say that through faith in Jesus' atoning sacrifice on our behalf, we who were God's unholy enemies have been made holy, so that as holy and beloved children, we can now freely enter into his presence. Yet at the same time, we know that we are not holy in our daily experience or our daily practice. And so we are exhorted in partnership with the Spirit of holiness to make every effort to be in reality what we are positionally before God. I recently read the story of a missionary in Africa who one day was walking along and he encountered a man who had a young boy chained to him as his slave. The missionary was moved with pity for this young boy, and so he offered to buy the boy out of his slavery. The man accepted his price, and the boy went home with the missionary, but not home as a slave. He went home and with the missionary, and the missionary adopted him and loved him as a son. In essence, that is what Jesus has done for us. His blood purchased us from our slavery to sin. Our chains have been removed, and we have been brought into the family of God as beloved children. We don't earn our status as God's children because it has been conferred on us, and it cannot be removed from us because the blood of Jesus has already been shed in order to confer that status on us. But like that boy, we have now to learn what it means to be a child of God. We have to learn to live in accordance with our new identity, that we are no longer someone's slave, but that we are a child. This new identity that we've been given by Christ, that we are a child of God. As Paul writes in Romans 6 and verse 19, just as you used to offer yourselves as slaves to impurity and to ever-increasing wickedness, so now offer yourselves as slaves to righteousness, leading to holiness. Paul also writes in 2 Corinthians 7 and 1, therefore, since we have these promises, past tense, dear friends, let us purify ourselves from everything that contaminates body and spirit, perfecting holiness out of reverence for God. Our failure to grow in holiness and to practice holiness would imply perhaps that we have not been made holy in the first place. That is to say, that we have not truly been forgiven. For didn't Jesus say that a tree is known by its fruit? In 1 Peter 1, the apostle is not saying that instead of offering sacrifices to Artemis of the Ephesians, for example, Christians are now to offer them to God instead. The call is to live differently, not just practice religion differently. Peter is calling us to make the choices in life and pursue the things that pattern our lives on the life of God, so that as God is holy, we too are to pursue holiness. And notice that holiness is not some super spiritual feeling or religious experience. Rather, it's something that is rooted in the ordinary actions of everyday life, for we are to be holy in all our conduct, in keeping with our newfound status as the holy children of God, our new identity as the holy children of God. Our practical holiness, which expresses our positional holiness, is about the everyday choices that we make in life. What to watch on TV, what to read, what to listen to, the conversations that we engage in, the work that we do. Far from being a super spiritual religious attitude removed from the reality of life, holiness is the reality of the life of God in us, in the reality of everyday life. If we therefore consider all that has been said over the past few days' devotions, we will see that without the atoning sacrifice of the blood of Jesus, it is impossible for humans to be made holy in regard to our position before God. And it is impossible to be holy in our practical experience. The only way in which any of that becomes possible, not just becomes possible, but becomes a present reality in our experience, is through the blood of Jesus. The salvation offered by Jesus is not offered in order that we might get a free pass into heaven when we die. To get to the pearly gates and Peter say, oh yeah, you're washed in the blood of Jesus, you can come in. Rather, it is offered that we might live now the life that God intended us to live. A life that is in concord with our status as those who have been justified by the blood of Jesus and so have been adopted as the children of God. So we can say that we have been made holy and that we are being made holy, all because of Jesus. We can't know God. We can't have peace with God or experience the grace of God or enter into the presence of God or become the holy children of God unless we first of all come to Jesus and accept his atonement on our behalf and respond to his call, "Come and follow me." Thanks for listening.